Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here again. I'm excited to have one of the amazing, phenomenal Nstar alumni who's gone through the program and who's a trailblazer in her career come to share her story. First of all, this is International Women's Month, and we said what better way but to put a spotlight on these women who have invested in themselves, who have inspired themselves into inclusion, who are going through the challenges but still staying absolutely very strong. And so I'm happy to have one of our alumni who should be absolutely proud of herself for her journey, come and share just how she started, where she's at now, and what the future looks like for her. So I'm going to pass the baton over to Ms. Kelechi for her to introduce herself.
Thank you very much, Sarah. I remember when I saw your message and I was like, oh my God, Stella. Oh, Stella, please don't bring me out, please, And it took me time to get back to you, but I knew I had to because of the role you've played in my life, but, not to just move forward, but let me start by introducing myself. My name is Kelechi Okorie. I still go by Okorie, which is my middle name, but I'll be changing soon, hopefully. So let's go with Okorie for now. I don't want to say I'm a Scrum Master because I'm not doing that anymore presently. That's on purpose. But my IT journey started as a Scrum Master a few years back. And I didn't just wake up to, reach out to Stella or other agile coaches that I reached out to. Something pushed me. Probably not a story I want to go into, but I was in a point in my life that I needed some kind of change because I just felt like I was drowning. I needed to move, right, from where I was. And at that point, I was desperate. My background is actually in ultrasound. I read diagnostic medical sonography, so I'm a registered sonographer. But along the way, I didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted something different. And so looking at IT or any other career was kind of hard. Like, where do I start from? How do I go about it? And so I took a few months break, or maybe a few months break here, and had an experience that kind of changed my life and got me to the point where I needed to make that move. And so started doing my research, had a friend tell me about Scrum. I'd heard about it previously, but just going through the background of what Agile is, and I know this is not for me. I'm not somebody who is a public speaker. I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to go into my job and get out, And then the second time, okay, let me give this a try. That was when I reached out to Stella through another awesome friend, Jennifer. Shout out to Jennifer. So I reached out to Stella, and that was the beginning of my Agile journey, and I'm here now. So like I said, I'm not doing Scrum, but I still consider myself an Agile practitioner. Because I'm a certified Scrum Master, I'm a certified Agile coach, but I'm now looking more into technical roles. So yeah.
Awesome. I love it. I love the evolution. Certified Scrum Master, certified Agile coach, and now we're going to learn more about the technical role that you're looking into. And before we do that, let's take some trip down let's take some steps back into memory lane, right? Share with us your journey just within Nstar Technologies, being a student at Nstar Technologies, to when you got your first Scrum Master role.
Okay. So my journey with Nstar started, it was more towards the end of that year, so it was in November. Mm-hmm. And the experience I was talking about happened more towards August. Mm-hmm. I kind of came out of it and started looking for something to, jump into. And when that friend did mention Scrum again for the second time, I started looking at it. I went on YouTube. I did my research. I was scared I want to do something. I think I like this thing, but I'm scared, because what I was hearing, oh, you'll be talking to leadership, you'll be working with IT guys, you'll be guiding them. And I'm like, God, I don't even know anything about IT. How do I guide, these guys? Right. And that was what made me go on YouTube. I started watching videos. And I think what really pushed me was seeing women that looked like me, sounded like me. Just considering our African background, where we're coming from, I saw women that, sound like me, have, some kind, I could relate to them. And I'm like, oh, if they can do it, then I can do it. Mm-hmm. I did reach out to an agile coach around, let me say, first week of November. They had started their program and they were almost done, so they couldn't take me. And she was like, okay, you have to wait till next year. I'm like, no, I'm not waiting. And I started looking, and that was when I met Jennifer through another friend. And Jennifer linked me up with Stella. I called Stella, and Stella said, oh, sure. She said yes. And the next day she called and she was like, oh, I just went through our, what do you call it? Our program, and I still were like halfway done.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know if you can do this. And I said, Stella, I need you to trust me. Mm-hmm. I can do this. I'm desperate. I really, really want to do this. I'm not waiting. I want it. I said, don't worry about it. She was like, okay, you do have payment. I said, I don't even mind doing the full payment. Just let me do this thing and move on, So Stella took me in. And this was towards the end of the second week of November. So I joined the class about the third week of November. That was more towards Thanksgiving week. Part 2 weeks. So she did give me videos of the previous class. So I had to catch up, do some studying myself. And 2 weeks after joining, we're done with the program. Did some mock interviews that I was like, go ahead and write your PSM, or just go do it. I did. I passed. I was happy, and then started applying to jobs. So from the start of my program was more towards the third week of November, and I got my first offer by mid of January of the following year. So it was just barely 2 months, working with Stella, and I got the job.
You sure did. Thank you for sharing that. I think what was very important, what you just said, was just how at a point in time you were like, you know what, I'm ready.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, they don't come to that point of readiness. They still have plan B, plan C, plan D. And then they wonder, why is it not working out for me? I think for you came to a point, it was definitely a sad situation for sure. But mentally, you were like, I need to take myself out of this and I'm ready. So kudos to you for literally even going through and even challenging us. Because I literally remember that conversation. I was like, this is midway through the class. And I know how I teach this class. I'm always making sure that there's enough information to empower people. And I'm like, I don't want you to start and not get it. Because I'm like, I want you to be successful in this class. And I'm thinking about, I don't know if this is going to work for you, but I remember you clearly saying, I'm fine, I'm good to go. So kudos to you for that. And something else you said as well, when you talk about even the theme, inspiring inclusion, you said you watched videos and you saw people that sounded like you, that looked like you.
Mm-hmm.
That is so important.
Yeah. That was what pushed me. That was the driving that I needed. Just seeing young women who were barely 5 years, 7 years in America, and they're doing this thing. They don't have previous background in IT, even project management, and they're excelling. I'm like, oh wow, yeah, I can do this.
That's great. So anyone who's paying attention should already know that they can absolutely do this. So now, after you got the job, right? One other thing I wanted to emphasize here, and I want you to share, is how did your life change? And the reason I'm asking this question is because when people want to make an investment in themselves or in their career, or for example, want to apply for a promotion or do whatever it is they want to do for themselves, they always think about the sacrifice. They never think about the benefit. right, is they'll think about how much I'm going to have to invest my time, my finance, my money, and all of that for the benefit. So how did your life change, let's say, in a high level after you got your first Scrum Master job?
I think my life went 360 degrees. No, 360 will be bringing. Yeah. So let me say 180. You know, that was just a flip, right? So moving from this dark place to a place of light, right? In this job, I think God planned it out, you know, for me, because it wasn't a remote job. It was hybrid. I needed to, I was required to come to the office. I didn't know I needed to step out of the house, you know, but just being able to step out.
Wow.
People, you know, rather than sitting behind my laptop, you know, having conversations with people that I ordinarily wouldn't have talked to, you know, so that was one change that helped me heal. And when you talk about change in terms of finances, I remember my investment is less than my 1 pay.
Can you imagine that? Please say that again for people at the back so they can hear this.
It was my investment was less than my 1 pay. So the financial part of it is rewarding. Like, don't be afraid to put that money out there in investing yourself. You just have to believe that you're going to get something out of it, you know. So yeah, and then when it came to my mindset, I also had a whole lot of mindset change. Like, the way I started thinking was different. You know, it felt like I was taxing my mind, my brain to think outside the box. You know, I was in this environment where you don't have a lot of people that look like me. But you see people that they don't necessarily look like you, especially women, and they are doing these things. They have family, they have kids, and they're pushing. Some of them are older people, and you see them excel, right? Then you begin to have like a mindset change. You begin to think, you begin to see beyond, you know, what your dreams used to be.
Right.
So yeah, it is quite rewarding. I'll say forget the money, right? And just look at what it's gonna do to you, not just financially, you know, your mental health, your confidence as a woman, your value as a person, as a mom, and how it's even gonna impact the way you decide to parent or even run your family. Right. So yeah, a lot of positive, no regrets.
Wow. That's very powerful. The mindset part of it, and how you even connected it to raising kids too. That's very interesting too.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Okay. You made a statement around how you might not find people that look like you, or maybe you did find people that look like you back then, right? But there were people that probably fell into that category of, like I said, being a mom or being an older person, right? And all of that. How do you think companies and organizations should inspire more women to step into roles or to take much more than they think or they assume that they can take on? And, or if you have an example about this, where maybe, for example, you had an instance where you challenged yourself and you took on more than you assumed that you could take on for yourself, right? Feel free to share.
Okay, yeah. So I'll go back to the first company that I worked with. Even though I wasn't with them for long, they were quite inclusive when it comes to women.
Okay.
You know, I think for me, one way companies can encourage women is to hire women, give them a chance. And for most of us, we just need to get our feet in the door.
Yeah.
Right? And, you know, the sky is the limit. But women were created to do this. We are created to multitask. We're created to think like outside the box, think like beyond us, the way we think. Oh Lord, the way we process things. I feel like there's nothing that we cannot do. We just need that chance. And so for me, the first thing is for companies to hire women, give women that chance. Let's look beyond the reproductive stage of women and how you think it would impact or affect your company. No. When I was in the medical field, I remember my last job. I had just joined this job. I just got married and then moved to go meet my husband. And I got hired by this hospital, nice and NLIT. Guess what? 2 days after I resumed, I found that I was pregnant.
Wow.
And I was scared. I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? This will be like, this one is so serious. You just hired me, and then the next week you're telling me you're pregnant. Like, how? Yeah, I was scared, but I did walk up to my manager. I didn't want to keep it long because I'm like, if you're going to tell me anything, tell me now. I've not gotten myself involved in the job so much so I can walk away. That's fine. So I went to my manager and she was so excited. She was like, oh my God, congratulations. And she was telling me all these awesome things they had. They had like 6 months paid maternity leave.
Wow.
For the mom, and then for the dad, like if you're a dad expecting, you have 4 months. And she was like, oh, we're so excited. Yeah, thank you for letting me know. And guess what? Everybody was like telling, oh, congratulations ahead.
Wow.
That felt good.
Yes.
Right. So that's encouraging, because I had the mindset that if it were my previous job, I wouldn't have been worried. I've given them some years of my time. So yes, I'm married. What do you expect? Right? But these guys just hired me
2 weeks ago.
And the next week I'm telling them, I'm
pregnant. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, companies need to encourage women, right? And just make us feel comfortable. A lot of women would really like to wait back, be stay at home mom, for some time, have the kids that they want to have, and then now begin a career.
Yeah.
We're beginning to see things change. Women are beginning to go up there.
That's true.
Right. So I think companies are doing their bit, maybe not enough, but how this thing works, we just take it one step at a time, and I think we'll get there. I've not really had a horrible experience as a woman, that I felt was targeted at my gender. I honestly would not say I've had that kind of experience. I've had maybe 1 or 2, but it wasn't the company, it was the individual. Right. Yeah, so.
And I actually would like to hear that individual story. So not to generalize here, right? I'm glad that your manager was a woman. Because, again, not to generalize, because I'm not saying that it was a man, the man wouldn't understand, not at all. I think what that just kind of like pinpoints to me is that's why we need more women in positions, just because it creates understanding, right? And experiences. Again, I have a very funny story. I remember my last daughter, she was still a baby, and I think it was during COVID, and I had a meeting with my manager, and I could hear my daughter literally shouting and crying in the living room while I was in the room doing my meeting. And I knew that if it was, I was like, I can't even handle this anymore. I had to tell my manager, I am so sorry, I'll be right back. I went with my daughter and I brought her into the car. I'm like, this is like, she's screaming and I couldn't concentrate. She's like, she took a picture of me, all of us on the screen. She put it in the Slack channel. She's like, oh my, yeah. She was going all about this. And it was such a very, very strange experience, because I knew that it was probably in the previous places that I had worked, they would have raised all red flags, and I would never even have been able to step up, right? So for me, I think being able to have more women, in key positions really creates that understanding of our experiences, because they've also experienced it. Again, not saying that men haven't experienced it at all, but that's just my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, and just to add, I've also had male managers who were awesome. So I want to give that credit.
Those, right?
Exactly. Yeah. My last job, I needed to take one day I was having one-on-one with my manager, and he was like, "Oh, hi, it's Tiara. Tiara is my daughter's name." I'm like, "What?"
When did I tell you that? How did you know that?
Oh, and funny enough, Tiara had just walked into the room, and I was like, "Oh, she's doing fine." And Tiara said, "Mommy," and he was like, "Can I see her?" And she came on the call, and I did work mostly with network engineering teams, and if you know this team, the dynamic of that team, or the formation of that team is 99.9% men, right? And those guys would always ask about my daughter, Once I say, "Oh, I have to take my daughter is she okay?" They were caring. So, and that's why I said, honestly, I've not really had horrible experience, in the places that I've worked.
Yeah.
Even from my first job, I just exposed my daughter to daycare, so she was coming back home with flu, and I was complaining all the time. And I remember my manager, my agile coach then would say, and he's a guy, I'd be like, "Oh no, just take the day off. Don't worry about it. Take care of Tiara." And they would call her by her name. Right. So I've not had any.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm absolutely glad to hear that. Also glad to know that, and when you step into an environment that doesn't look like that, you know to call it out, and to help that culture or that environment shift for sure. I love it. Especially when you say that they call her by her name. Kudos to the men. Kudos to the culture of the company too. I think that's phenomenal. So let's talk about network engineering, because I know you talk about working in with network engineers. So let us know more about the technical portion of what you're evolving to, right? Because I know you talked about moving from Scrum or being an agilist, an agile practitioner, and going towards the technical portion of your career. What inspired you to do that?
What inspired me? Before I joined the IT field, I've been around IT guys.
Okay.
None of them does network. I think one is cyber, but I have a girlfriend. We grew up together. She's older than me, so I see her as like an older sister. And she is in the IT field. She's a cybersecurity person. And I remember she would always say, "Casey, I think you should do cybersecurity." I'm like, "If I start from, it's going to be hard." She was like, "Don't worry, it's not hard if I can do it." I'm like, "No, you did." Her background is, I think it's either petroleum engineering. I said, "You've been doing all this engineering stuff for years, you can do it." Me, no, I can't do it. And she'd always say, and even anytime I tell her I'm interested, she'd be like, and I'm like, "Okay, where do I start from?" She said, "You need to go back to school." I would say you can take boot camps, but I don't know any that I can recommend to you.
Right.
But she'd say, "You're young, you can go get another degree in cybersecurity." Like, who wants to go back to school? So, but then again, how God plans our life. Like, you don't have a lot of control. You have control, but sometimes God has a way of pushing you in the direction that He wants you to go.
Yeah. Right.
And so when I started, my first job was with network. Everything they were saying was like, I don't understand, right? But that was what I thought. I didn't know being in calls with them, interacting with my managers, leadership, interacting with these guys, that what they do was somehow registering in me.
Right.
But I didn't know. Because for me, I'm not interested. Whatever you guys are doing is so hard. You're talking about switches, routers, you're talking about IPs, you're talking about firewall. I'm not interested. It's so hard. You're talking about rules, policies, protocols. Like, where do you want me to start? So I didn't show any interest. And then I got my second role, which was still network engineering. And I started working with these guys. And now the difference between my first role and my second role is that for the second role, they were older guys.
Okay.
Right. I don't know if that made any kind of difference, but they were more, they would explain everything, even though they know. It's just like your dad talking to you, right? Trying to give you some live advice on and they will go back to 1980, you know. That was what was happening. So this guy would talk and talk and talk, and even like share their screen. I'm like, what are you showing?
Wow.
And they'll show me stuff just because you're trying to explain, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is why I'm having this delay. This is, you know. And I also had the opportunity to go, that job is in California. So I go on site every now and then. And they'll walk me through, take me to the data center, take me to where they have all their stuff connected, show me how this is connected to that, right? Yeah. But I still didn't know if I wanted to do that. You know, I thought I wanted to just keep growing, being an agile coach, maybe consider doing product management, you know, program management, you know. And maybe when I started thinking about it, I realized that I needed to know what they do, not just, you know, this is what I'm doing, more like the technicalities of what's happening in the background. You know, I felt like I needed to know, and that was what woke up my interest, you know, in looking at network and cyber, you know. And then I got to the point where I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to make my move. Yeah, and reached out to my friend. She was excited, you know. Yeah, so that's how the journey started.
And now that you've started the journey, right? It's do you used to think it's impossible?
No,
exactly.
Because, like I said, even when I thought what they were saying, I didn't care. It was registering. Because now, I went ahead and I took my Security Plus, right? And the only reason why I took it was I saw my husband studying the stuff, and I was standing behind him on the I know that, Jerry. What's that? But that's the answer now.
Wow.
And he was looking at me, I was like, okay, I think you're ready to go and take this. And that was what motivated me to go ahead and, you know, try taking the certification. You know, I did some study because I'm like, if this is what they're going to be asking, I kind of know these things. Right? So I just went back and studied and, you know, came out. Like, I'm ready to take the test, and I took it. So yeah, just being exposed, that's what Agile does to you. A lot of Scrum Masters feel that they're not technical. Guess what? You are technical.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. If it comes for you to prove yourself, you'll be shocked at things that your body has been absorbing, your mind, you know, has been absorbing all these years working with these guys, you know. So yeah, it wasn't hard. I don't think it's hard.
Yeah. And And I think to your point around when Scrum Masters say that they're not technical, I literally said this year, like this year's a year to stop asking, should we be technical or not? Should Scrum Masters be technical or not? Because we are way past that conversation, honestly. But I think how Scrum Masters become technical without knowing is when they're fully invested in what the teams are doing and actually paying attention. Because you can have people who work within the teams and they're not really paying attention to what you're saying. You know, they do as little as they can do and really are not active or present. I think present is the word. Because you can be present and still feel like all these words are gibberish. I don't get it. As long as you're present, if something is being deposited in your mind, right? And before you know it, with time, you're able to have this conversation. So again, back to you, kudos to you again, because it really shows that you were paying attention to what you were saying, even if it felt like, I don't know what you're saying, but I'm just going to follow through what you're saying. And that's probably one of the key things as well, you know, and yeah, I think that's just wonderful to hear. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. So what do you find most rewarding? So when you're a Scrum Master and now you're doing, you know, your current new path, what do you find most rewarding about your roles and the roles that you have functioned in?
Meeting people.
Okay.
You know, we tend to, as Africans, just want to be with Africans. You know, just you build your network, right, around people that look like you or sound like you, or, you know, yeah, that's good. There's nothing wrong with that, you know. But being in this type of profession, as much as you think, oh, there are a lot of Africans, you get to a company with like 1% or 2%.
That's very true.
Right. So chances are you'll be the only one. Right. So you have to interact with people.
True. Right.
You have to give other people a chance. So just meeting people, understanding them, their perspective, you know, that has been quite rewarding.
Okay.
Yeah. When I was in the medical field, I met people, but it was more on health. And a lot of times it's more sad stories, right? But it's different now. You're interacting with people, you're learning cultures.
Yeah.
Right? You're feeding off of each other, right? You're learning from you, you're learning from them. So that has been a lot of things have been quite rewarding, you know, but, you know, I'll pick that one as one. You know, and also the opportunity to grow. And like I said in the beginning, being in the agile space does not only impact you working, you know, with enterprise.
Yes.
You bring it home.
Sure.
Right. You bring it to your family, your children, yourself. You are helping people grow. And in the process of doing that, you're also growing. You're seeing opportunities. You're telling yourself, oh, especially when you see your team succeed, right? And you're like, oh, if they can do it, I can do it. If I'm able to impact to them, I should be able to impact to me. Right. So yeah, those things are just rewarding.
Powerful. Okay. So what would you say to someone who maybe was in a situation that you were maybe a couple of years ago? So talk about maybe someone who isn't sure of where to start from, who they don't think maybe this is for them, they want to get into tech, just like the thoughts you had around, well, I don't know if I will be able to understand this. I don't know if I'm ready or something like that. What will you speak to that person today?
What I would say, what I know now, so there's something we say in the agile space, it's okay to fail. Like you want to fail fast and learn from, you know, I've stopped seeing failure as a bad thing. I see it more as I've learned a new way not to do something. Right. You know, so I don't know what you're going through, but what I can say to you, if you're listening, is don't be afraid to take that step. Right. And it is okay to have fears, but don't let your fears hold you back. Right? If you can, you're a woman, you've done things that you never imagined you could do, but you were told because you're a woman, you're supposed to do those things. Yeah, so those things are harder than even getting into or having a career change. It's not easy to carry a baby for 9 months. Right? If they don't have to tell us that you have to do it, you're a woman, it's your role to do it. A lot of us will probably not do it. That's hard work. Right? If you can have your cycle five days in a month, it's hard work.
That's true.
Right. So begin to see yourself as a very strong person, that there is nothing
you cannot do.
That you cannot do. Just give yourself a chance. Trust your mind, trust yourself, and go for it. Don't let anything hold you back. Go for it.
Wow, I feel like that's the best way to end this video, but I have just two more questions. I have two more questions. Just go for it. Yes, go for it. And I thank you for sharing the examples that we typically face, right? You talked about the pregnancy one and the cycle one. Like it's quite interesting how the things that are hard have become normal to us. And when it's time to try something new, we think we cannot do it. And I'm like, just like what you said, in agile space, fail fast, fail forward, mistakes, errors, failure is not the end of the road. And it might start to say, I get it, because sometimes the cost of failure might be expensive. But when it comes to career change, right? Just like when you said the investment, financial investment, for example, you're able to recoup that in 1 week, right? But not just beyond the financial investment, the mindset, how that expands and who you become as a person, who you become as a career professional, as a mom, as a wife, as a woman. Like there's so many facets to who we are, and we'll be doing our stuff a disservice because the amount of gifts that God has put inside of us is monumental. Yeah. And so if we don't peel the layers, like you say, we won't know what we're capable of.
Yeah.
So much, so much. So thank you for sharing that. So 2 questions, right, before we wrap this up. Do you have I think you already answered this, but do you have a guiding principle or a guiding mantra or a philosophy as you go through your career journey?
I have a guiding principle. Well, I would say I've really not thought about it, but my guiding principle is never to get too comfortable.
Never to get too comfortable.
Yeah, never get too comfortable. Always push yourself. There's so much out there.
Right.
For us as women. Yeah, so I'm teaching myself not to get comfortable with anything. It doesn't matter how much I'm making. Right? When I feel like I need to move, I'm gonna move.
Yep.
Right. When I sense it's time to make the next step, take the next step, I will take it. And like I said, I'm not afraid of failing. Right. So
that is your guiding principle. So don't forget that. Now you have a guiding principle. Okay, so now your guiding principle is not being afraid to take a step. If you feel the leading to make a move, you make a move, and not being comfortable. Be afraid of comfort. So that's your guiding principle. And so my last question is, what does the future look like for you in terms of just looking ahead, right? What are some of your professional goals, aspirations for the future? And that's our last question.
Can I show you on there?
Don't worry, lay it on us. We can handle it. We can carry it.
Yesterday, I was talking to my friend, that friend that kind of preached cybersecurity to me. Okay. And we're just going. She was telling me about how she takes interviews, and they ask her, "How do you know so much?" Right? She does know a lot. And that's because she's a risk taker. She did not say, oh, I'm doing cybersecurity, I just want to focus on GRC, for example. She does everything. And now she's a manager.
Wonderful.
She's calling shots, she's making all this money. When I hear her talk, I'm like, oh, you know.
Yeah.
So I see myself going for the top.
Yeah.
You know, just keep hitting it, you know, taking it off, climbing up,
Yeah.
right? And that's it. I really wanna do good. I wanna be my daughter's role model,
Yeah.
right? I want her to look at me and, you know, be proud and tell herself she can do this. Like, if my mom can get to this height,
Yeah.
then I know I can go higher, even though I started late, right, in my 30s. She would have the opportunity to start quite young. So I feel like I'm trying to build a footprint for her to blossom, you know. So I want to get up there, right? I want to be a leader. I want to have maybe VP, president behind my name someday.
Yeah.
Probably one day wake up and find out that I have my own company, my own tech company, you know.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so
I love it. Okay. Before I get carried away at this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, we've come towards the end of today's interview. So much has been shared, and I really hope that you share this video with people that you also know too, so they can be inspired by Kelechi's story. And even the end, when you talk about what the future looks like for you, not maybe one day I will wake up. It is you will wake up one day and you would have VP, senior VP, whatever is higher than that behind your name. That is a confirmation. You will definitely have that business you want to have. And thank you for also pioneering that path in network engineering, because like you know, honestly, you talked about it, 99% were men, and now you're inspiring others to be included in that career path. So you should be proud of yourself. I know that I'm absolutely very proud of you. I'm not going to speak for Tiara, but something tells me that Tiara is already very proud of you. But most especially, you should absolutely be proud of yourself. And I want you to always remember that even when it looks like I don't even know what is going on and all of that, I'm glad you said you already have that mindset where failure is not an end of the road. It's just a way to whatever path that I'm going to. But just in the moment where maybe the rare moments where you feel like, what is going on? Am I still doing the right thing? When am I going to see the fruits? I want you to always remember that you're already a VP, you're already owner of a company, you're just building the muscle right now, and a lot of people are absolutely proud of you. So thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah, thank you, Stella, for having me. Thank you for the role you played, because even though we don't talk all the time, I know when to reach out. Stella, I have this problem. What do you think? Thank you for always being there and, you know, just giving us a listening ear. It's not just me, a lot of women that you have impacted positively, and you showed them that they can be whatever they want to be, and you know, and then the financial freedom that comes with it. And that's also something that you have done for a lot of women. You know, you think it's just about Nstar, coming, do your 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. Lives have been changed, right? So thank you for being you. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for not hiding, you know, all of this goodness. You know, thank you for showing it to the world. Yeah, and yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I appreciate